Off. And I just want to confirm, Chris and others, that you can see the slides. Awesome. Okay. Terrific. All right. So we've got a fairly packed agenda this evening. We're going to cover quite a few things, starting with a little bit of detail with regards to membership renewals. Sherry and Juliana will be talking about professional members committee, and I'll let them elaborate on that. We'll talk about our strategic initiatives and probably some things you've seen in recent communications from CSEP, as you can see on the slide here. So we'll spend a few minutes talking about the strength and conditioning collaboration that was announced last week. We'll also talk about the partnership with ACSM that we announced at the opening of our Calgary conference last October, and give you a bit of an insight in terms of some of the work that we are doing behind the scenes related to government relations and some of the work with Research Canada and how that has an impact on some of our scientific research and academic members within CSEP. Also share some news about a location change and a move that we have done, and introduce some CSEP swag and merchandise. Talk to you about our professional development plans, our call for professional development and webinar presenters, our awards and grants, and certainly provide an opportunity and time for you to ask some questions. So to jump into the content today, membership renewals season is well underway. We're 2 weeks into our renewal season, which runs from this year. We started on Valentine's Day on February 14th. And our regular renewal period runs to the end of March, so March 31st. And we certainly want to bring to your attention that, as per usual, there are late fees if you missed that deadline. Some of you probably know I'm also a CSEP professional member. I'm a clinical exercise physiologist with a high performance specialization as well. I was the test dummy to make sure everything worked, and paid my dues a couple of weeks ago. So it is open. If you would like to learn more about the renewals process, I put a QR code in the top right here, and that links you to the certification Renew Your Membership website, where you can learn a little bit more. One of the things I'm really pleased to share with you as members of CSEP is that we've held our membership rates the same. This will be the 5th year in a row for clinical exercise physiologists, and this is our 6th year in a row without any increases in our membership dues. And we're really pleased to explore other revenue streams to support our operations and some of the other strategic initiatives that we're undertaking to enable you to maintain your membership without us having to increase the fees, despite, as we all know, in Canada, inflation rates have been fairly high in recent years, and our costs, certainly on many of the things that we undertake, are going up. But we are certainly looking at other mechanisms to offset that. The other thing that we've introduced this year are dual membership categories. And so for those of you who are professional members, so either a certified personal trainer or a clinical exercise physiologist, and you may have a faculty appointment, or you're an academic, or you meet the qualifications rather for academic membership. Before this year, you had to choose one or the other. So we've now made it possible for you to be recognized in both of those categories. And that holds true for professional members who are either academic or have academic status, or those of you who are students, or those of you that fall into our newest membership category, which is the postdoctorate fellow and research staff category. So over the last couple of weeks, I've seen several dozen people recognize in that sort of dual category, which is terrific. And it helps us to be able to provide you with timely and more appropriate information for the different types of membership categories that you may fall within. We have not added any additional fees for that. So if you're an academic member and professional, you pay the professional member fee. because that includes your professional liability insurance. You can get recognized as either an academic student or postdoctoral fellow and research staff, and there's no additional fees. I will also clarify that in the event that we have elections for different activities at CSUP, you would only have one vote, despite being recognized in two different categories. I've also included a QR code. You can see that at the bottom right. If you scan that, that will take you directly to the page where you can pay for your renewal. And sorry, I just had a pop-up flash on my screen. So that QR code on the bottom right, that will bring you right to where you can process your renewal and provide us with all of the details. So again, late fees will begin as of April 1st. So you've got roughly a month before that starts. The other thing that we wanted to highlight is, and some people have noticed this previously, as I'm sure you all recall, that we at CSUP required you to do an annual CPR course. That is no longer required. And to clarify, you do need to hold a current and valid CPR, but we do know that there are CPR credentials that in some cases last 2 or others last up to 3 years. Provided you hold a current and valid CPR credential, you're good to renew. So hopefully for some of you that makes life a little bit easier. One of the things that I discovered when I joined CSUP in an academic context was how many different membership benefits there were for all of the different types of membership categories. So our professional members, our academic, our postdoctoral fellows and students and so forth. And the QR code included on this page brings you to a link that I couldn't fit it all on this page, but to give you an oversight in terms of all of the different benefits that you do have access to as a member of CSUP. So I would encourage you to take a look at that and become familiar with that and take advantage of the various member benefits that may be of interest to you. In addition, we have another site where you do need to log in. And apologies that the screen captures here are a little bit fuzzy. And the QR code in this case will bring you to the login page at the CSUP store, where you can actually get the details and the codes for some of the different member benefits that you have access to. A couple of the things that we have introduced in recent years, I'm sure some of you are aware of this, but we've added Stay Above Nutrition, which is a nutrition company that provides high quality protein, creatine, and other products. We also added a program through Rogers for cell phones and cell phone plans. We also more recently added Polar. Those of you who are familiar with the heart rate monitors and so forth. And we do have a few others in the works and others coming. But if you navigate to this site here, using this QR code, it'll help you to uncover all of the codes. So if you go here and click on the show details, you'll be able to find those codes that will help you to take advantage of the various discounts for the numerous benefit options that we have available to you. So now's your opportunity to provide us with a little bit of feedback here. I'm going to introduce a little bit of a interaction with the audience. And if you scan that QR code, you'll be able to answer this question. And it's, we're looking for what other benefits would you like to see CSUP consider offering? So I'll give you a moment there to scan that QR code with pull out your cell phone and give us some ideas as to what you'd like to see. And while you're answering that, I'll also share with you that later this spring, we will be sending a broad survey to all of our members that will provide you with the opportunity to share more intimate information with us in greater detail. Excellent. Those are great. For those of you that are typing right now, you can continue to add your comments. We'll capture those, but in the interest of time, I do want to keep moving forward so that we have an opportunity to answer questions later in the evening. But these are great, so thank you for answering that, and the 10 or so folks that are continuing to type. This is terrific. So thank you very much.
Zach, there are
Yes.
some people on their phones that they're asking for the link to be shared because they can't access it.
All right. I don't have the ability to navigate that quickly in real time here to find that. I've got too many windows, I think, open right now.
Zach,
But
I just shared the link with everybody.
okay, that's why we have experts here. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. All right, so as we transition, I'm going to turn the mic over for a couple minutes to Juliana and to Sherry.
Awesome. Thanks, Zach. I'm Juliana. I'm a clinical exercise physiologist, and like Zach said, I work at the University of Calgary. Sherry, do you want to do a quick intro?
Yeah, I'm Sherry Swanberg. I'm clinical exercise physiologist with a high performance specialization. I have my own training business, which I've had for a number of years. And I do work part-time at the Acadia University in Nova Scotia in the kinesiology department.
So Sherry and I are both on the member services committee. And we've been so excited to see all of the changes that I'm sure everyone has been noticing. And we put forth an idea to have a subcommittee for professional members. So the idea behind this subcommittee that would report to the member services committee would to discuss different issues that all of our professional members might be seeing, like all of the things that you were suggesting for in the last slide, and also actually provide some solutions to those issues. So we recognize the importance of listening to our members and really taking action. So what do you all need and what do you want from CSEP? How can we better support you? And how do we really continue to advance our industry? Sherry, do you have anything to add as well?
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And I mean, just to sort of reiterate what Zach has always said to us, we are the cream of the crop and we need to get our message out there, and we hear that loud and clear. I'm working in the industry and I would agree with that. So we need to hear not only, you know, where you think we need to move in what direction, but also any solutions that you have, because we're all in this together as well. So appreciate your feedback.
So more information will be provided soon about putting forth, you know, an application. And just quickly, the meetings would happen up to 4 times a year. There might be a couple additional meetings, but Zach and the team will provide all kinds of details about that in the future.
Terrific. Thanks, Juliana and Sherry. This was a great idea. As said, there will be a notice through the communique to inform all of our members further about this. We know we've got a great representation. We've had over, I think, close to 450 people register for tonight's session, which is being recorded. But we will share through our communique about the process, how you apply, and what sort of commitment are we looking for. But ultimately, we want to hear from the members. We want to make sure that we are advancing, and supporting you. We know you do great work, but as your professional association, we want to help where we can, and collectively, leverage our platform and our voice to continue to make a difference and move the needle forward to helping Canadians be healthier, more fit, and more athletically capable of performing at their best. All right, transitioning we're going to talk a little bit about our strategic plan, and the details that I'm sharing here, this is a screen capture from our website. And when I first joined CSUP in 2022, so I've been in this role for just over 2 years now. It was a real pleasure to work with the board in the early days to identify the 5 strategic priorities, or pillars, if you want to call them that, that we really wanted to focus our efforts within the behind the scenes operations of CSUP. And really, if you look at all of the work that we've done over the last few years, the question that we need to ask as we embark on any of those projects is the work that we're doing aligned to our strategic vision and our mission, and is it connected to the 5 pillars? And I'm very happy to say that the work that we have been doing, and I'll share just a small snippet of some of the things we've been doing, but everything is geared towards achieving improvements in each of these 5 strategic priority areas, whether that's improving our financial health or improving our own internal operations and our organizational health, and supporting our team and the talent within our organization. We've certainly had a focus on growing our membership. And it wasn't very long ago, in 2020, where our industry got hit very hard, and many of you had challenges to continue to do the work that you do. The facilities where many of you worked were closed, and so that was difficult. So during that period of time in 2020 to 2021, we lost members at CSUP, and so our goal has been to grow not only the membership, but we also want to grow the value for the membership. And that's why we are looking to introduce more benefits, more opportunities for you to take advantage of through being a member at CSUP. I know myself, I know I pay the annual dues of approximately $300. I save over $600 a year simply in my savings that I realize through the personal home and auto insurance that I get as a result of being a member at CSUP. So that's only one opportunity, and there's many others, and we're looking to continue to add more to that. The recognition piece is really important for us. We've had this slogan, the gold standard in exercise science and personal training, for many years, and we need to do some work to ensure that we are living up to that, and providing clear evidence that we are the gold standard. And a few of the things that I'll talk about in a moment, I think, help to firmly plant the flag and state that we are the leaders in this space, and we are continuing to double down on our efforts to confirm that our credentials are the absolute best in Canada and beyond, and our members provide terrific and tremendous value in all of the domains of health and fitness where they work. And then finally, partnerships, and we'll talk about some of those partnerships and the work that we're doing there. So this is the strategic plan that will see us through not only the current fiscal year that ends March 31st, but it will also see us through the next fiscal year. The board and I will meet in the spring together, and we'll spend 2 days of strategic planning to identify where next. Have we achieved what we need to in each of these areas? And if not, what do we need to do next? And are there other priorities that we need to start turning our attention to in order to continue to grow and to advance CSUP? I'll also highlight that our mission and vision and values were also updated in 2022. So those were refreshed with the focus of making sure that they continued to guide the organization in the work that we do. So some of the examples that are linked to that, so certainly with regards to partnerships and recognition, was our collaboration and our partnership specifically with the American College of Sports Medicine. This partnership is a wonderful opportunity to create that recognition for some of the credentials and courses and programs and content that CSUP has created over recent years. In particular, ACSM is very interested in many of our products, and in particular, an example includes the pre and postnatal exercise specialization. Essentially, to make a long story short, they looked at the pre and postnatal exercise specialization. They were very impressed with it, said, there's no need for us to recreate the wheel. How can we bring this forward and make that credential available to our American ACSM members? And so that was part of what really drove and started the conversation with ACSM. They're interested in some of the other products and educational content that we have developed, and that will start to be made available to their audience as well. Similarly, they've developed content that we're interested in, and rather than recreate it, we have established a partnership where we can bring some of their content and make that available through our online learning channels to you, our CSEP members. And we're in the process of trying to sort out how do these new courses fit within our curriculum, and how might they have an impact on some of our credentials as well. So stay tuned for more information on this regard, but we're really excited about that. One of our other products, or tools that rather is probably a better description, is our Get Active questionnaire for pregnancy. And again, linking back to the work that's been done in exercise and maternal health. We've had terrific work from many folks who are global leaders in this space. I can certainly speak to some of the pioneering work, Michelle Matola at Western, Margie Davenport at the University of Alberta, and certainly our current board chair, Christy Adamo, and many, many others who have contributed to this field. But in particular, Margie at the University of Alberta has been really very helpful at connecting with international organizations who are interested in the health and safety of pregnant women around the world and want them to be screened properly and safely so that they can participate in exercise. The Get Active questionnaire for pregnancy was designed specifically for this. And why I'm sharing this with you now is that we're really excited that not only has it been adopted in the United Kingdom, but this tool has been translated into 9 different languages and has been adopted globally. And we have several other projects currently in process to translate it further. So this is probably our most translated document at the moment. So we're very, very excited about that. Last week, we had the announcement about this new collaboration with the Canadian Strength and Conditioning Association. Through this, I will clarify that this is not a CSEP credential, but it's a new credential that recognizes strength and conditioning coaches in Canada. And I would argue that we have work to do to inform employers that this is now the preferred credential for those that work in a strength and conditioning setting in Canada. And how CSEP is involved in this process is in the process of becoming credentialed through the Canadian Strength and Conditioning Association. Candidates will need to hold and complete the CSEP high performance specialization. Within the communication that went out last week, we shared that there are a few different pathways of proceeding. In my opinion, I think the best approach is to become a CSEP certified personal trainer or clinical exercise physiologist, obtain your high performance specialization, and continue to hold those while you obtain the certified strength and conditioning professional credential. Continuing to hold your CSEP credentials, in my opinion, is very important because of the first of all, the scope of practice for the CPT and CEP fully covers the scope of practice of a strength and conditioning coach. And what's important about that is the professional liability insurance through CSEP will cover you to provide strength and conditioning services. Our insurance is probably one of the more affordable insurances to obtain for professional liability insurance. and it does cover you in Canada to work with professional athletes. And as far as we're understanding, there really aren't other professional liability insurance packages that are affordable that cover you to work with professional athletes. So that combination of being a CSEP credentialed individual and then further pursuing the strength and conditioning will bring you into both worlds, certainly the CSEP plus the strength and conditioning area. And the next steps for the Strength and Conditioning Association will be to inform employers about this credential. So I do think this is a great advancement, and it's terrific to collaborate with like-minded organizations that really want to advance this in the best interest of both the clinician and the athlete. I mentioned earlier some of the strategic work that we are doing, and CSEP has recently joined and become a member of Research Canada, who is a advocate and an ally for bringing content and relevant information forward to parliamentarians in Ottawa. Where they have highlighted this recently was through hosting an event with, I'm going to say probably 100 different representatives from organizations representing higher education and other professional associations, and the current state of investment in Canada in health science research. Health science research funding has held steady for many years. And when we compare Canada's investment in advancing scientific research against other G7 countries and others, we are falling behind. And further, we're also falling behind in the number of individuals in Canada who hold advanced degrees. So this is, in my opinion, a really important recognition for CSEP to know that academic institutions are challenged with regards to the funding that they have to support their students, and will be a topic for discussion from a strategic point of view when the board and I meet earlier or later this spring. The other point that I'll raise with Research Canada is through this organization, it allows us the opportunity to actually bring forward the initiatives and the goals of what CSEP is trying to do. And certainly one of the recognitions is that, you know, through examining the 24-hour movement guidelines, there are significant numbers of Canadians that aren't meeting many elements of those guidelines. And we're here to help. And we will leverage our relationship with Research Canada to advance our voice and to seek opportunities where we can work and help the government to help Canadians to become increasingly more active. In exciting news, we also moved. Some of you may recall that CSEP moved not long ago. In 2019, CSEP did relocate in Ottawa to Richmond Road. But since that time, we've all been accustomed to a very different type of work environment. For the most part, we have transitioned to a predominantly virtual working model. And an opportunity arose where we were fortunate to be able to complete a sublease within our current or former location on Richmond Road in Westboro in Ottawa. And we've relocated to an organization called the House of Sport. And the House of Sport is an area where there are many other like-minded organizations that are co-located there. The House of Sport offers organizations an open concept community, but also supports them with a wide range of services and meeting rooms, leveraging the economies of scale to drive down costs. So this is on top of the opportunity to collaborate with all of these like-minded organizations that I've mentioned, and many of them you can see here on the screen, and also access health and wellness opportunities for staff members. So we completed the move at the end of January, and very pleased to call the House of Sport the new home for CSEP. right. I did see that some of the comments in the question that I posed earlier was people looking for CSEP swag. And I was happy to see that because we've actually started down this pathway. You can click on the or scan the QR code on the screen here, and I'll just give you a little walkthrough. This QR code will bring you to this site here, which it is live now. I'll just take you through a quick little demonstration. So CSEP swag is here. This will be order or a drop shipping model. There will be a series of windows where and when you can order swag. It isn't, or the company that we're working with doesn't have the capacity to have this open indefinitely forever, but we will have windows of time where you can order swag and it will be made directly for you and shipped right to you. So the importance of this is so that CSEP doesn't have to manufacture and inventory and risk producing things that people don't want. So when you navigate here, you can choose either English or Francais sites, and they'll have the appropriate logo depending on which site you choose, but all the items are equally available. I'll go through the English site, just to share. There's lots of different things that you can choose from. And if you hover over these, you'll see that they'll change. You can see, how things look in different color schemes. Some of them have a white version of our logo. Others have a darker version of the logo. So you can choose which logo you like better. There's hoodies, as you can see here. There's also a version, a little bit of a, what's called it's kind of a varsity style mod of our logo, available in the hoodie version. There's also perhaps more professional types of gear that you might be interested in. And I won't go through all of these, but I do want to highlight one thing. So I'll pull up one example. So there are sizing charts for some, not all of the items here, but many local retailers may have these where you can try them on to make sure you get the right size. So you can choose, whatever color, you like. The other thing you can add is your credential. So you can add, for example, if you're a certified personal trainer, you can add that to the bottom underneath your logo. And so then you can get a sense of what that will look like once you get it made. And as I recall, these are all embroidered on the garments. So the options, you can choose none. You don't have to have anything underneath. You can just choose the logo. You can add the CPT or the clinical exercise physiologist or instructor examiner. Please choose the credential you have if you want to add that. We won't be policing that. That's at your honor to do that. So we hope that you perhaps find something that you like. The store will be open for the first round of orders until mid-April, at which point it will close and everything that was placed for order will then be made and then shipped out. So hopefully if you like it, you'll find something that suits your needs. I'm going to talk for a couple minutes about some updates on the store, and I did happen to glance at some of the comments that people have appreciated the discounts on the online learning. So I'm glad you're taking advantage of those. Perhaps before I jump to that, I do have a slide on that, so I will move forward. So a series of education topics that we did introduce recently were the Performance Nutrition Academy courses. And there's a lot of really interesting information here. These courses were designed specifically for CSEP certified personal trainers and clinical exercise physiologists. So, the best qualified exercise professionals in Canada. They were developed by dietitians who work in the sport industry, and they work with Olympic teams and Olympic athletes. So we're really excited. I just took a look at the sales for these yesterday, and a lot of our CSEP members are taking advantage of the various courses that are available. Our communique recently came out, I think it was yesterday, and we're happy to share that all of the Performance Nutrition Academy courses will be discounted for the month of March, discounted 20% as March is Nutrition Month. So if there's a course that you're interested in related to the work that the Performance Nutrition Academy created, March would be a great time to try one out. I know some of these courses are regular price only about $23 to $25 for the, a single course. So I would say they're really good value. I'd also like to share that the funding to develop the curriculum was developed through funding from the Canadian Sugar Institute. But the Canadian Sugar Institute had no involvement whatsoever in the content that was developed. They simply created or made the funding available. This is what I did want to share and talk to you about is we've updated the pricing on many of the items within the store. And frankly, I'll share that I was disappointed with our historical approach to providing recognition for our members for online learning. So what you will find now across the board for most of our online learning is that we have decreased the price regularly for CSET members, so that you'll find that the price you pay is essentially 50% discounted from non-members. So we're very pleased to do that. We'll continue with some monthly promotions and further discount those from time to time, but the standard discounted rate will be 50% reduced. You can see on this example here with the course that Jonathan Fowles from Acadia created here. So the regular non-member rate of $115, this course is available for $55 for CSET members to learn about diabetes and exercise. We also have an industry and allied partner membership, and this is for organizations can become members and make our content available to their members. So their members are also provided with a discount compared to non-members, but it is not discounted to the same degree as what our CSET members do get. Selfishly, our CSET members are our favorites. The high performance specialization was launched in 2019, and you may have become increasingly more aware of the high performance specialization because it's gained some strong interest in the last year. First, it was recognized as a requirement for those that are working in the Canadian Olympic and Paralympic Sport Institute Network or the Canadian Sport Institutes. So if you're working with Olympic or Paralympic or next generation athletes who are carded, you need to hold the high performance specialization. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, now the high performance specialization has also been recognized as a requirement to pursue down the pathway of becoming a certified strength and conditioning professional. So this content is great. And the reason I wanted to highlight this as well is that for two reasons. The first is we had a panel of leading experts from a number of organizations, including the COPSI Network, the Canadian Sport Institutes, the Sport Scientists Canada and On the Podium, and also the Strength and Conditioning Association and CSEP do a deep dive review of the content to make sure that this is still up to date. The review of the content is nearly finalized. We now just need to take those final edits and upload that to our learning management system. The other reason I wanted to highlight this is through the review of our pricing model, we have greatly reduced the cost of going through the high performance specialization. For CSET members, you can proceed directly to challenging the exam if you like, although completing all of the coursework and all of the different modules is certainly highly recommended, and you can get your professional development credits by doing so. But we've also greatly reduced the price. Last year, when I looked at the pricing for this, I believe it was approximately $650 to do all of the coursework. We've reduced that significantly. I think it's under $290 now. Don't quote me on the exact price, but we've definitely made it more affordable. We see it's terrific and amazing value, and we want to decrease those financial barriers as much as possible. We also included within this week's communique a notice about the awards and grants, and some deadlines are coming up. So if you're planning on applying to some of our grants, the window to apply will open very soon. As soon as the renewal season without the late penalties ends, the awards and grants applications will open up. So April 1st to June 1st for the CSEP Student Travel Awards, which last year were renamed in honor of Dr. Roy Shepherd. And all other awards and grants have a timeline of April 1st to May 1st. So for those of you that are looking for that, you can start working on your application so that you can get it in time for our Member Services Committee to be able to review the applications and make recommendations for who will be this year's awardees. We are also in the process of following up on the success that we had last year. It was so great to see so many of you in Calgary, Toronto, Halifax, and Vancouver as we did professional development days in each of those cities. We are working on the details at the moment for plans for professional development in-person events in Edmonton, Ottawa, and Toronto. And we're also looking to expand on that with some monthly webinars. We did look at the feasibility of broadcasting our professional development sessions, but for the one-day events, it really wasn't economically viable for us to do that like we are able to do with our conference. So we're hoping that this combination of some in-person events complemented by monthly webinars of really good information will find your interest, and you'll be able to participate and enjoy those. We also put out a call for speakers. So we've got a good network, but we know that some of you have some hidden talents and expertise and may be interested in sharing some of that information with us and with your colleagues. And so if you go to the most recent communique and the previous one, you'll have seen that we included a call for speakers. So we're looking for people who are interested in speaking at either a professional development day or perhaps sharing their expertise through a live stream webinar. So we're looking for you to apply by middle of March. On that topic of events, we're really excited to be heading to Montreal, the city, the home of the greatest hockey team in the world. No, I'm maybe a bit biased, but we're really excited to be going to Montreal. Those of you that joined in Calgary last year, you may recall that we sold out attendance registration a month before the conference started. So the venue this year will be larger, so our accommodation will be a little bit bigger. The conference is a little bit later in the year than normal. The reason for this, frankly, is simply that as we came out of COVID and we were starting to look for venues for 2024, it was a scramble, and it was difficult to get the dates that we would normally like. So for those of you that love the holiday season, the festive type of season, Montreal in late November is going to be absolutely magical. And the venue that we'll be at is the Bonaventure Hotel, which is right across from the train station. So some great options to head to Montreal to network, to learn about the latest science. It's always a great opportunity for our academic and student members to share the latest research that they have developed, so that we can amplify that, so that everybody knows how to take that learning and implement that into clinical practice. So I do hope to see you there in Montreal. and it should be an absolutely outstanding event, based on the preliminary information that I've seen from our staff and the work that the team at McGill are currently working on. So this brings me close to the close of what I wanted to present this evening. A final reminder to renew your memberships before March 31st, so you don't get subject to the late fees. And at this time, I'm very happy to transition and take some questions. So Sherry and Juliana, what have you got for me?
Okay. Okay, so the first question was from Antonio, and we might need you to expand on this a little bit, but he said, I'm a first aid and CPR instructor. How might I let people know? And this was just when you were first talking about renewals.
Oh, that's a great question. Perhaps Antonio, if you are doing first aid and CPR research, I know that we have opportunities for people to do so virtually. Perhaps connect with me offline, and we can look at the different channels in terms of how we can do that, and let others know.
Awesome. Next question from Anonymous. This was just another suggestion, and I marked this down. Having readily accessible case studies for the public to become acquainted with CSEP practitioners. So just a suggestion, I think, about what we could be doing.
No, I appreciate that. We are working on developing some infographics to highlight what is a CSEP clinical exercise physiologist, what is a CSEP certified personal trainer, what are their skills, what do they do, and this is part of our marketing and awareness campaign to make people aware of CSEP and who our professional members are and what they do. But those are great suggestions as well.
Okay, sure, you can jump in whenever you want to. Another anonymous, would it be possible to update the French version of the CSEP renewal page to reflect a recent change about CPR requirements?
Great, thank you for that. Full disclosure, we have not done a good enough job with regards to translating our content. And that I will share is a high priority going forward. We are committed to translating all of our works. We're also looking to do a revamp of our website as well. There's a lot of information there, and one could almost argue there's too much. It's hard to navigate and find what you need. But that point with regards to making sure that all of that information is available in both English and French is very, very important. We are certainly committed to making sure that all of that information is available in both languages. So if you do find something that hasn't been translated, and we definitely appreciate you drawing that to our attention.
Okay. Another question. I'm a self-employed CPT with my own business / I don't currently work with or around other trainers. I'm curious if there is a way I can go about becoming CEP if I'm not able to get direct experience working with higher risk individuals.
Great question. We do get this question a lot, and I will share that if you recall, and I didn't really touch on it too much today, but the recognition for the clinical exercise physiology credential in British Columbia a big part of that recognition was because of the robust nature of the process to become a CEP. That you do have to have those hours, and you do have to pass both a theory and practical exam. Without that, the ministry was not as keen to support the CEP credential. So you're absolutely right. It's difficult to get that experience if you are perhaps in a remote type of community. Um, Perhaps related to that, a couple things we are looking at doing. One is acquiring a new member portal, one that would facilitate a better engagement for members to create a community of practice. A mechanism where professional members could interact a little bit more easily. Talk about case studies, journal article, review club, that sort of thing. With regards to getting the actual experience, though, one of the suggestions would be to connect with other regulated health professionals within the community, nurses, physicians, chiropractors, physiotherapists, who do work with those folks and explain to them the rationale as to why you may need to get that experience. And I do know that a number of our members who are looking to progress from a CPT level to a CEP do those types of things so that they can get that exposure. I started the same way. I started with what at the time was the STFA, Standardized Test of Fitness Appraiser, which has evolved into the CPT. And then with more experience, I did, go through and challenge the CEP in time. It's that process that we have in place that upholds and contributes to that gold standard.
Awesome. I'll keep reading these out, Sherry, until you
Yeah.
jump in.
No, go ahead, Sean.
Okay, so we had one question about VO2 max testing for older adult populations, but I think we've had some really great answers for that, just using the 6-minute walk test as an option. So I'll move on to Vito's question. I may have missed this, but with respect to the new CSCP credential, if a CSEP CEP with the HPF designation, what would the steps be to get a new CSCP credential? Is there a test needed? Is there a course online or in person?
Great question. Thanks, Vito. So you've got all of the prerequisites now. The process is to then apply to the Canadian Strength and Conditioning Association to be included in a mentorship process. So it's a little bit of a different model than our standard sort of study for a test and pass a test. There's actually a mentorship that they have developed with a series of deliverables and so forth that are required. So some of that, I don't know all of the details of what's necessary, but demonstrating and coaching through Olympic lifts and developing a periodized training program for an athlete and so forth. So that process is really in its infancy, but it's through a mentorship model with the Canadian Strength and Conditioning Association. But if you have your either CEP or CPT with CSEP and your high performance specialization, you're ready to apply for that mentorship. And to the last question with regards to the treadmill test, the Ebeling treadmill test would be also a consideration as well.
Awesome. Okay, for the sport nutrition basics and other nutrition bundles, once I pass them, do I get the right to work with my clients on their nutrition? Does it give a nutrition certification similar to Precision Nutrition Certificate? Or what do I have to get after passing those modules?
Yeah, good question, and certainly the query as to why might I take these courses and spend time and money taking them. They don't change your scope of practice. So your scope of practice with regards to providing essentially the basics with regards to nutritional advice would not change. So they're not equivalent in terms of what Precision Nutrition provides in that regard. This was really education that was geared towards providing more in-depth understanding and perhaps subtle things for qualified exercise professionals to be more aware of. with working with their athletes with regards to nutrition.
Great. Lori asks, what is the requirement for first aid moving forward?
The requirement for first aid hasn't changed. And in fact, I'm probably not the best person to answer this. So I know the requirement when you first become credentialed, and ongoing. It's not one of the annual requirements that we've previously had, but the first aid hasn't changed, and it hasn't previously been one that we require an annual renewal. So apologies, Lori. I see your name there. Great question. I'll have to follow up with Christy Boyd on that one.
Okay, is there a plan for collaboration with Canadian/provincial kinesiology associations?
Terrific question. I will say there is not currently a plan for collaboration with them. Although I will share that I do regularly communicate with them. I had a lovely chat earlier this week with the Newfoundland Kinesiology Association, and I've been in contact with folks from the Ontario Kin Association, the Saskatchewan Association, Alberta, BC. If you notice, a trend in terms of some of the work that we've done in recent years, we're very interested in collaborating and working together. And they certainly know my door is always open to have a conversation, and would love to explore what a collaboration might look like.
David asks, for members that are currently in research positions, how can we apply for the CSEP research membership and pay the renewal fee? Is this fee additional to the annual renewal fee for CSEP, CPT, or CEP?
Thanks for the question, David. So it sounds like you're referring to our new postdoctoral or research fellow position. This was introduced just last year, and it's a really important position or membership category within CSEP, which recognizes the difference between those who are students, including PhD students, and those who have been hired into full-time faculty positions. So that in between. So these are people who, they're doing research and so forth. So if you are a professional member, either a certified personal trainer or clinical exercise physiologist, when you go to renew, there will be a series of questions. One, it will ask, are you a student? And you can answer yes or no. If you answer no, then you'll be asked if you're an academic member, yes or no. And I might be getting the sequence of these a bit out of order, but there will also be a question about, do you meet the criteria for a postdoctoral fellow or research staff? And if so, you can click yes, and that category will be added to your renewal. Again, there's no additional fee for that. As you renew, you just pay your CPT or CEP renewal, and the academic or research staff membership is included, and then you'll be included in any communication that's targeted just to that particular audience.
Okay, when will proposed speakers be informed whether or not they are successful applicants for upcoming webinars or in-person engagements?
Fairly soon. We are looking to organize these the roster of speakers as soon as we possibly can. So I'm going to say within the next probably week and a half. We want to finalize the speakers for these events so that we can start to promote it, and those that live in or nearby those communities can start to register. And also we'll be putting together the series of webinars as well. So our focus first will be on the PD days, and then we'll be getting to the webinars shortly afterwards.
Awesome. This is my first year as a CEP. I want to make sure I want to make sure that the continual credits are due for CEPs in March 2025. Is this correct?
Oh, that's a good one. I should know the answer to that. But I don't off the top of my head. Let me think now. This past year, 2023, 24 was a CEP renewal year. So every other year. So 2020, 2025 should be correct.
Okay. Thank you for all the hard work to leverage the organization. The future is looking bright. Two quick questions. Any developments on the CSEP member benefits with Lululemon?
Yeah, this was an interesting one, and apologies to those who kind of got caught in this. We announced that CSEP members, qualify for the Sweat Collective through Lululemon, and some have applied and been successful, myself included. My wife kind of made me do it. So that's where we tested it out, and it seemed to work. Um, I have followed up directly with Lululemon, and it's an independent organization that evaluates the applications when you apply to the Sweat Collective through Lululemon. And we have tried to provide them with more information with regards to who we are, who our members are, what a clinical exercise physiologist was. They really didn't seem to understand that. So what I would suggest on that is we don't have a formal partnership with Lululemon, but being a professional within the industry should qualify you for that. When you apply, I think there's a couple of key questions that seem to be the trigger for whether they approve you or not. And it's related to whether you do group education classes or group exercise classes. And I can't remember the specifics of that. But it's not an organization that's easy to get into with regards to having a direct conversation because they do outsource that. I was at the SPIN conference in Halifax last fall where they had a Lululemon education person there, and I did speak with her about that and looked to get an easier access pathway to get a more clear answer. And we are still continuing to work on that to make that easier. But apologies to those that did apply and were rejected for reasons that, in my opinion, were maybe not appropriate.
The second question from this person was, is there any work currently done with insurance companies to cover services from CEPs and CPTs?
Again, great question. This is work that hasn't yet been done, but it is on the strategic plan related to improving recognition. Where we've gained traction is with the Ministry of Health in British Columbia, and that is providing some great evidence for the rationale why CSEP professional members should be considered for insurance coverage. Particularly the low-hanging fruit, in my opinion, are those insurance plans that have a health spending account. And so those are the areas where we are looking to explore. I will share, I do have a contact who has assured me that they can help with navigating some of those insurance-related channels and pathways and so forth. But at the moment, we haven't had the bandwidth, to be honest, to really pursue those fully.
Okay, and I did see one question in the chat just asking, they need to leave now, but will they still get their credits? And I assume the answer is yes for this.
No, if you leave early, you leave my class early. I'm kidding. Yes, of course. You'll get the credits, and this is being recorded as well. So those that couldn't be here will get the opportunity to watch it, like my kids do in 2 times speed. So it only takes 5 minutes to watch the video.
The next question is from Chris. Is there a way to streamline the professional ed website to ensure PDCs are credited accurately and in a timely manner?
Thanks for that, Chris. We've migrated the PDCs from where they used to be housed on our portal, which was very cumbersome. I know I had to submit there as well, and it wasn't great. So Now the PDC tracking is integrated within the CSEP store where you go and buy those courses. So now it will be integrated when you take those courses. They should show up for you automatically. Great comment, though. Great observation.
Would CSEP ever consider collaborating with VIA Rail to give discounts to allow for ease of travel to various conference locations?
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of VIA. Very economical and a good way to go when it makes sense. So I, I do know that you can get a discount with VIA using your CAA card if you have one. But certainly a consideration that we'll think about and try to realize for Montreal. It's a great option, and frankly, that's how I'm planning on getting to the conference this fall as well.
Zach, it's Chris. There will be a discount code for Montreal on Via Rail.
Awesome.
Okay, so this is on insurance again, so you might have a little bit to add to this, I'm not sure. How can CSEP advocate for recognition from insurance companies or benefits to work with professionals?
Yeah, this is part of the longer vision plan. Formerly, I did have a position where I was on the board of directors with the Ontario Kinesiology Association, and it's a long process, sadly, but it's one that we are certainly keen to start the conversation, and through a new collaboration partner. In fact, one of our new industry and allied partners, we've started to explore what that might look like, but there's a lot of work ahead in that. So I don't want to promise that that's an overnight solution, but I do know that getting recognition in that sector would be fantastic for many people.
Is there a chance that credits can be stockpiled to use for a following year or to move the accreditation period to a calendar year?
Yeah, I think that this would be a question for our professional standards program. It's not a question that's up to me, but the model that has been developed for continuing professional development mirrors many other professions, whether you are a teacher, a nurse, a physician, a chiropractor, a professional in any regard. There are standards that are necessary that are related to timeliness of completing education, and so the goal is to foster a continuous learning model where you're not just doing it periodically, but you are continuing to do that. So, and then I would also share that logistically, that would probably create some challenges with the system and how we manage those types of things. So I get it. I understand, you might, go to the conference and accumulate a whole bunch of credits. But also recognize that our requirement already is a 2-year window as opposed to an annual window.
Okay, is there any talk about doing an audit of post-secondary institutions? Despite recommended course maps on the CSEP website, not all institutions are made equal. Just a suggestion at the next CSEP conference, could there be a lunchtime workout class?
Now, I'm not a morning runner either. So yeah, no, the those of you that were in Calgary, the run along the Bow River at I think it was 4:30 or 5 o'clock was terrific. We all have drank the Kool-Aid and love to get our exercise and fitness in, so that's important. With regards to the audit, so there is an organization whose role it is to accredit institutions. It's a voluntary one, and that is CUPICA. There are degrees of freedom at the post-secondary institution in terms of organizing their curriculum to suit the needs of their interest in what they want their program to be focusing in on. if we look south of the border in the United States, there definitely is a change that is happening. And in conversations with my counterparts at ACSM, by 2027, so a couple years from now, you will need to have a degree from an accredited university program, accredited through the Coalition of Accredited Exercise Science schools. And we know that is going to create a landscape change in the United States, and also partly why we've done some work to bring this new strength and conditioning credential forward. The current most popular strength and conditioning credential in Canada will become harder to obtain once you need to have a degree from a US accredited school. And unless your Canadian school has become accredited with the US, you may not qualify for that pathway. So I think that there's a ton of value for some standardization of core courses. And the analogy that I've been provided with is, if you think about medicine and healthcare, imagine you're an emerge physician and you've got a code blue and you're surrounded by your team of healthcare providers and your nurses and respiratory therapists and others who are trained in a standardized way. Now imagine if they're trained and they don't take advanced cardiac life support, and they've all been trained in a different way to treat a code blue. Well, that's chaos, and that's a Wild West. And I think there are a lot of things within our foundational education, whether your fitness and wellness program, our kinesiology program, there should be standard ways of the foundational fundamentals. We try to do that through our path text and the content and curriculum that is there. But I think that our profession also benefits from having the ability to have creativity and introduce new ways of doing things efficiently and effectively, and also introduce new methodologies and therapies. Just think about high intensity interval training, which we're all familiar with now. 15, 20 years ago, that was pretty novel and new. And now we're seeing blood flow restriction training, and we don't really have guidelines on things like that yet in terms of, is blood flow restriction, is it safe? Who's qualified to do it? Which patient populations are safe or unsafe, and so forth. So while I think it's really important that we have standardization in the core things that have been around for arguably decades, I think there's a blend that we may need to think about in terms of that standardization. But I will share that, sorry, my wife is calling. Through that process of working with the Ministry of Health in BC, I'm really happy to share that, like the other collaborations with ACSM, with our international collaboration of sport and exercise science practice partners internationally, all of the post-secondary institutions across the country are really keen to collaborate and work with us. Increasingly, we are looking at mechanisms and models to integrate the CSEP the CSEP practical examinations within the curriculum, so that students in second year can get their CPT right through the kinesiology program. And then they can get experience and work with healthy folks and get some transferable skills. So by the time they're in fourth year, they can qualify and challenge and obtain their CEP. So it's a great question that you identified there, and I'm happy to share that we really see our academic institutions as key partners, and I always enjoy the opportunity to do guest lectures at schools across the country.
Could applications for webinars be open and on an ongoing basis? From Andrea.
I think I need a bit more clarity. Applications for the webinar. I'm not sure I fully understand the question.
Potentially hosting or
Oh, I see,
like,
for presenters. Yeah, we'll do repeated calls for sure. So what we're trying to do is populate the calendar of our speakers and presenters and so forth. So we want to get a pool of interested speakers, and then we'll work on a schedule, and that will be a regular call. Uh, uh, I think logistically, it's probably easier for us if we have an active call that we're managing and monitoring. But I totally see where you're coming from.
Okay. Steph asked, are we losing ground to provincial colleges of kinesiologists in terms of recognition and acceptance from insurance and medical fields?
Great question, Steph. There is only one province who has a college of kinesiologists, and that's in Ontario. Um, I would say that there's definitely a shift in the last few years in terms of curriculum where academic schools were really gearing their focus towards the ARKIN, which is terrific. My wife is a registered kinesiologist. Um, if you look at job postings, certainly there are lots where they're looking for ARKINs, but there's lots where they're looking for CSEP professional members as well. And then there's also many that are looking for either or. So I wouldn't say that we're losing ground. Um, I can share that the Ministry of Health in BC told me directly that they're not interested in regulating any other health professions. And in fact, they indicated that they were looking to deregulate some health professions that were already regulated. So uh, it's an interesting area, certainly that regulation, and it's important for people to understand that regulation is done for one purpose and one only, and that is to protect the public. Regulation is not done to improve job status or employability or increase the pay rates for those that are regulated health professions. Regulation is a college to help protect the public, full stop. The work of the provincial associations is to promote the profession and advance the profession and the jobs and so forth, similar to what CSEP is doing for CSEP members. Again, we'd be very keen to have a conversation with the provincial kinesiology associations. I think it's probably tricky, for many, for students to try to navigate and sort out the different streams and avenues that they could pursue. So yeah, I wouldn't say that we're losing ground.
Will the link for the conferences be on the CSEP online store?
Uh, there will be certainly numerous links from the store and from the main website, but there will be a dedicated CSEP conference website, and I think Chris is typing an answer right now. So yeah, that will be promoted, and you'll see it on our social channels as well as on our communique newsletters and so forth.
And Stephanie, I think we just got an answer for this, but she just asked, do you apply online or in store for the Lulu discount? Evan said you can apply online for the Sweat Collective program.
Correct. That is how I did it.
And then just a comment, I previously had a discount with Lulu under their R&D program as a CEP. I was recently told the program had been changed. Jody said, I work in long-term care and they accept you as that response for that type of work. We just have to show our badge or pay stub.
Yeah, they're looking for a few things. They want proof of, if I recall, they want proof of your credentials, so the certificate that you have, as well as I think proof of your insurance, and I think a driver's license or something along those lines. It was a few months ago when I did it, but the online application was fairly simple and easy to do, and yeah, good value. I think it's 20 or 25% discount.
And I think those are all of the questions. Stacy had just asked in the chat, is there any discussions to have member-led special interest groups within CSEP, such as education, high performance, similar to ACSM?
Yes, we do have an interest to do that, to have those types of sort of peer-to-peer groups. And, part of that is related to developing or introducing a new member platform that would be secured, where we can share content, and we could host meetings, or just simply share information in that regard. So yeah, it's definitely an evolution that we want to be able to introduce, and again, provide more value to you for being a member.
Awesome. I think those are all of the questions.
Terrific. Well, I want to thank several folks. So certainly Juliana and Sherry, who had to depart, and Chris, who's here, and shout out to Lauren Ewan, who is a CSEP staff member whose last day was today. She is moving on, but she was a terrific member of our team and helped to organize this event here this evening as well. And thanks to everybody that chimed in and joined us this evening. We always love to connect with you in person or online, and your feedback will be really helpful, and look ahead to the survey that we'll send out in the spring.